Hey, it's Nick King, AgriGold agronomist here in Southern Illinois. I'm standing in a field of corn that's tassels are out and we have got pollen falling. A lot of guys are asking, should I fungicide my corn? I think there's a few things we need to keep in mind over the next couple of weeks while we're dealing with some of this high heat. Now, Southern Illinois, we got planted very early this year, so pollen is starting to fall much earlier than normal. I expect most people will be tasseling either last week, this week, or over the next 2 weeks, which makes fungicide top of mind. Now, the advantage to planting early is that we keep these corn plants pretty small. That's my hand outstretched all the way to the top. So we don't have very tall corn, which means we have a lot of airflow up and down this canopy that keeps these leaves dry, and it keeps an abundance of disease out of the canopy. Disease needs three things: temperature, humidity, and most importantly, moisture needs to sit on these leaves for a good 8 to 12 hours for most diseases. So what you might find is some gray leaf spot down here in the canopy. Southern rust, not on the radar. It's not up here yet. Tar spot, though, is fairly high on my radar. Last Monday, we had the conditions for a tar spot infection. With that said, should you put a fungicide on your corn this year? Yes, absolutely need a fungicide. But over the next couple of weeks where we've got high heat, here are some things I think we need to keep in mind. So again, we'll start out. I want a fungicide on this corn, but in my opinion right now, we should hold off until the R2, R3 stage. And here's why. Number one, pollen can suffer severe damage when temperatures get too hot. Around that 100-degree Fahrenheit mark, pollen can suffer severe damage and in some cases go sterile, meaning that the pollen can fall and hit these silks, but no genetic information can be transferred and kernels wouldn't be created because of it. So before we fungicide, I think we should get a good kernel count with this high heat window that we're dealing with. Now let's say in the last week or so you've already pollinated, you've started your kernel development. We know very well that high heat can also cause kernel abortion. Now, with the next 2 weeks looking pretty warm, this week specifically, it might be a good idea to wait until R3. That would be that milk stage. By that time frame, we should have a pretty good idea of the severity of kernel abortion on these ears. And then thirdly, tar spot infection was ideal conditions last Sunday, Monday storm that rolled through. Southern rust isn't here, and in most fields I've walked, gray leaf spot really hasn't taken off yet because this early corn has stayed a lot shorter than normal. And so we've got some time to protect from these diseases that aren't showing their faces yet. And so this year in 2026, my personal opinion is to push that fungicide off at this time frame until R2, R3, after brown silk, from blister into that milk stage, for these three reasons I've mentioned. Now, if you got any other questions on fungicide, which one to use to combat the disease you're facing, please reach out to someone on your local AgriGold team, your local DSM, and they'd be happy to help you. Thank you.